eyes, know yourself, realize, understand and empathize. We could learn to feel the world with love.
Hello, Humanists of Australia. Jason here, your live stream host. And tonight we're going to be doing something a little bit differently. Tonight we've got our very own Brian Gervaise with us, and we're going to be doing a bit of a get to know you, how you doing. So it should be a good episode. And I'm not sure if you've seen or if you've been keeping up to date with the YouTube channel or not, but Brian has recently been creating a new project, which we'll be talking all about creating a new humanist dedicated label. Isn't that right, Brian?
Yes, that's the plan. Yep. We want to bring in some creativity into the humanist movement. And well, I'm a musician, so one way of doing it for me is through music. So yeah, we got a few things happening around that.
Yeah, beautiful. Look, and for those that are joining in, please put your comments in, ask away any questions. If I can get to them, I'll get to them. If I don't, then we'll ask him hopefully another time. Maybe Brian will do a little bit of a short or whatnot, and get his face out there, get the questions answered. So please do pop those comments in. And if you're watching after the live stream, then feel free to comment below, and we'll be sure to answer any questions that you have, particularly around the project. Now, to start off with, Brian, I really want to bring it back into a more of a get to know you scenario. So obviously you've been around Humanists Australia for quite some time, but tell us first of all, let's tell us about yourself. You know, what sort of got you up to the point of joining Humanists Australia? And then we'll talk about, what humanism means to you and so on from there. And then we'll get into the project from there. But yeah, tell us about yourself, Brian.
Well, I guess, I've been kind of around the secular scene for a while and exploring that. I guess initially it was more about just outright atheism for me. And I was exploring that sort of area and watching a bunch of YouTube channels and following people like Christopher Hitchens and like hardcore atheists. So during the new atheist sort of period.
Yeah, the new atheist movement. Yeah.
The new atheist movement. Yeah. So I was kind of there, but it was never quite enough for me. I always felt that there were other things, that mattered to me. So it was interesting to watch all those videos and to follow that because, like essentially people like Hitchens would get out there and and do debates and things like that. And it would be like absolute slaughter, to be honest, with Christians. And not being a fan of religion, I took some kind of, would we call it perverted pleasure in watching that happen. Hitchens just eloquently and violently took these poor Christians apart, So I kind of followed that for a while and enjoyed it. I don't really watch those videos so much now, but I needed just a little bit more. And so humanism was just something that was always there. It was a term that every time I looked at it and read about it, I thought, this interests me, this sounds like me, this feels right for me. But I wouldn't quite dive in,
Yeah, what was sort of like holding you back at the time, I guess, from really just grabbing it by the reins?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I was holding back. I think I pretty much knew, this is who you are. You're essentially a humanist. And I would use that term, But I never quite jumped into joining an organisation or anything for a while. I literally looked at Humanists Australia on a few occasions, and thought, I feel like I want to join these people. And I just didn't take the jump. So I don't know, maybe it was a commitment thing. I was still in the middle of, because this is not new for me. What we're doing with Humanists Australia now, as you know, like we're out there trying to push it and get initiatives happening. and advance humanism, you know. And I always wanted to advance the whole secular movement and be part of that and do it in my way creatively.
Let me bring that up. You brought that up a few times now. The secular movement. It's obviously very important to you. What do you find most important about secularism?
Well, you know, secularism to me aligns with conservatism in many ways, and I think conservatism holds us back. A lot of conservatives, they're not all religious, but there's definitely a strong connection there. You know, and from a young age, as far as religion goes, even though I was never religious, I wasn't brought up in a religious family. I would have to say I was an atheist pretty much the whole time. I've never had religion, but I did explore spirituality. But nonetheless, I could see the damage that religion did and the effect that it could have on people. I met certain religious people that I had thought, you're supposed to have this connection with a God and, you know, be on some spiritual level. And the way that you're talking and acting like an everyday human being with all their flaws does not add up to me. It doesn't make sense. So I've seen the hypocrisy with religious people early on. So I never loved religion. So being secular, I wanted to be vocal about it and say, look, I don't believe any of this stuff. And I don't like the fact that religion causes wars. I don't like the indoctrination of children and all these other number. You could read off a list of things, you know, the issues that I had with religion. So, yeah, that's why the whole secular thing is important to me. And just the connection with conservatism, as I say, which holds us back. I'm a very progressive person, you know. So, religion connects with conservatism to me. So, just not a fan.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, sort of like to some degrees, although I guess in some ways, depending on where the country starts, it can be, you know, there's very secular countries that moving towards religion is the progressive route in that sense. Like, you know, naturally it's conservative in the general sense of the Western sense that we know, but if they've never had it, then secularism would be the conservative side, effectively. But that's the world of politics.
Yeah, right. Okay. Yeah, I see where you're coming from with that.
Yeah, it's a little bit. It's kind of like, you know, you go to Europe, where America, the idea of you know, universal healthcare is a very progressive thing, but over in Europe, universal healthcare is just like that's on both sides. There is no like conservatism when it comes to that. But I digress.
Yeah, the progressive is it's obviously it's complicated. Everything's nuanced, you know, so it gets more complicated than that. But essentially, progressive to me is moving forward and doing the right thing for humanity. To me, I mean, some people can see capitalism as being progressive. You know, let's spread out, you know, free trade and type of thing is progressive to a capitalist. But to me, that's regressive because you're essentially ruining the planet as a capitalist. That's not progressive, it's regressive. But if you're a capitalist, you see that as being progressive. So the term can be used.
Well, in China, becoming a capitalist is, I guess you'd claim that that's progressive because it's the opposite of where they're from, aren't they? So,
yeah, well, true. If you've been there and you've been under communism for a long time, then all of a sudden it's all about capitalism. Then, you would see that as being the progressive position. So it depends on where you stand, on what your situation is. I will say about China, though, they're very progressive in the way of environmental stuff. I was watching a video the other day. I think it was on Secular Talk, which is a favourite show of mine. There was literally mountain ranges of solar panels. Like it was stunning, and it's kind of and it's real, and they're just way ahead of us. So look, if capitalism means that, then I don't really have a problem with it because it's kind of good for the planet, you know. It's altruistic and it's ethical capitalism. God, do the two go together? I don't know. I don't know if that works.
It can. Actually, we should do a session on that one time because there are some ways where capitalism actually does Have you ever heard of the paradox of capitalism? I know we're getting a little bit off topic. I'll just
Yeah,
cover
it's
off
fine.
this.
We talk about anything. It
The,
doesn't
the,
matter.
the paradox of capitalism is that it is reaching more and more people at a lower and lower cost, but
Yeah.
then eventually it hits a point where it becomes free. And then a classic example is like back in the day, encyclopedias used to be like, $2,000, for a set of encyclopedias, and you'd have to update them every so often, every few years. And now, with the since the internet came in, that was effectively the internet of information. It created information as effectively free. We have so much, Wikipedia, encyclopedias, dictionaries, all that sort of stuff at the touch of a button that no
Yeah.
longer costs anymore. Whereas in the past, that was very, very costly. And so in some ways it can lead to greater information in that
Sure. That's
regards.
almost more socialism to me because it's
Well,
giving stuff
yeah.
or free. So then it's kind of not capitalism anymore. The way
Yeah,
I
but
see capitalism is
leads
what it
to it.
does to the environment, just ruthlessly going ahead with coal mining and oil and all of that. And they know they're ruining the planet, but they do it anyway. AI's
Mm,
potentially becoming, well, it's not potentially, it's definitely becoming an issue, taking jobs and that type of thing.
yeah.
Environmentally, not great. Yeah, look, capitalism in that way, like even with arguing uh, with cigarettes companies and that, like arguing that no, it's not harmful to you to have cigarettes. Like they will lie. That's a nasty side of capitalism, and that's just
That's absolutely, that's the nasty side of
that's the
capitalists.
nasty side. So when I say that, that's what I mean.
No, absolutely. Now, what made you pull the trigger and just say, you know what, I'm gonna jump in with the Humanist Australia. I'm gonna, sink my teeth into this. What actually made you make that move eventually? Because you hold them
It was
back.
quite random, I guess. I just yeah, went through another stage of I'm going to look at Humanist Australia again because I was thinking of joining a humanist group, and the obvious move for me was to join. Being an Australian,
Mm,
the obvious thing was to join an Australian humanist organisation. I knew
yeah,
about Humanists International and Humanists UK. Um, and I know there's Humanist Victoria and all that. I'm in New South Wales. There isn't a Humanist Sydney or anything like that. But that doesn't really matter. I like the idea of the community, Australian community. So Humanist Australia was kind of a no-brainer. So yeah, I kept coming back to that one, and then eventually just made the decision. I just jumped in. I thought, okay, I'm going to email. I'm going to join. I'm going to register. I can't remember quite what the process was that I did, but I think I literally just did join,
yeah,
and then started communicating with people pretty quickly within the organisation. So it was kind of random. I feel as though I was just ready. I think I was just ready. I always wanted to um, do activism and be involved in different things. So I needed some kind of a group to do that through because I didn't know how to approach it. So it's kind of opened up those areas, and I'm involved in some things in that. Yeah, as far as that goes, to do with climate change. Also, an African group that I'm involved in, which isn't actually Humanist Australia um,
mm,
thing charity, but certain members from Humanist Australia are involved in this charity group for these humanist activist ladies
yeah, yeah,
over in Uganda. So I'm
yeah,
involved in that, and it's what I've always wanted to do. And I've always wanted to combine the music and everything together. And
yeah,
yeah, just joining this has kind of given me that opportunity to do all those things. Humanism is holistic. There's one
yeah,
thing about humanism, it's holistic. It covers all those areas. So it covers my non-religiousness, and it covers my ethical outlook and my want to do activism. Um, and yeah, just the whole rational and scientific side of things, where critical thinking's important. Um, you know, getting rid of misinformation and disinformation, cutting through that. All of those things.
mm,
It's holistic. It covers everything for me.
yeah, yeah. And I guess from this is sort of a harder question to sort of, not so much ask, but to answer. But how do you apply sort of like the values of humanism into your everyday life?
Yeah, well, I suppose that is a bit of a tough question. I just live that way. It's just like respect people, um, compassion, those sorts of things. You
Mm.
know, we can really love
Like,
people.
do you ever like sort of stop yourself and go, this thing, I really feel like this aligns with, my humanistic values, or when you're making a decision, do you sort of weigh it up against anything that you've, developed from becoming a humanist? Or is it more so you got like an underlying value system and humanism just seems to align with it?
Yeah, humanism fits. I just became. I was already a humanist without
Mm,
realizing it. So for that reason, it's not a thing that I'm overly conscious of or think about. I guess maybe every now and then I'll do something that might pop up, and I think, oh yeah, well, you are a humanist. That's kind of in line with
mm,
that whole humanist values. But I think I've kind of always been that. I've most definitely developed into that. Um, and so it's not a thing that I really think about. Like I just am a humanist, and as we spoke about labels in our video that we did recently,
yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I did a little one as well, something similar. You can be a humanist without knowing it.
Mm,
I was essentially a humanist anyway, and then that label fitted me. So I guess I don't really think about it from day to day things. I'm just being myself, and it happens to be
mm.
from a humanist position. You know?
Yeah, yeah. No, I think I suspect a lot of humanists will fall into that same category where it's sort of, discovering it rather than becoming it.
I
Um,
know a bunch of people that have not consciously said that they are a humanist, but are definitely very, very aligned with so many humanist values that they are essentially just humanists, but they just don't
yeah.
happen to go around saying, "Oh, well, I'm a humanist," or joining an organization like I did. You don't have to, you know.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. I still say, just claim it, just make it your own. Um,
It
but
makes it
I'm big
easy.
on that
Having
thing.
the label, as you said in your video, makes it easy, and it just gives you a direction. So it's to be
Yeah.
honest, it's one of the best decisions I ever made just to commit. So yeah, I'm a humanist. That's what I'm going to represent. And then if anybody asks what you're doing, you just say, "Well, I'm advancing humanism because that's who I am. It's what I believe in." And it's just
Yeah.
easy, rather than going into all these complex explanations that
Yeah.
really you can
It
say it all just with that one label.
it does become difficult. I've seen plenty of people, they'll claim, I'm an atheist, I'm a Christian, I'm this or that. And it's so much easier to actually explain what you are than it is to try and explain what you're not and then fill in
Yeah,
the gaps of what you are,
yeah.
without using particular words. So, and some people will be like, well, I'm altruistic. And it's like, well, that comes with a whole bunch of like, how altruistic are you? Are you going to, give your kidney to someone that needs it if they, um,
Well, we're we're all
there was a
just
guy that
human.
was, so altruistic that, yeah, he actually said, "Well, I've got 2 and I'll give one of them away,
Yeah,
so don't get
sure.
rid
I
of it."
guess in most definitely in certain circumstances, you would without question, consider
Mm,
that. But I hope not to be put in that spot. And look, I'm a humanist, but I'm still just a human being, and I know that I've got some selfish tendencies as well, and I
yep,
think we all do. Um, It's about having that balance, and knowing if what you're doing is affecting people in a really negative way. It's about self-awareness and
mm,
being able to go away and reason and think about things that you say and do, and whether you can come back from that and not be obstinate and arrogant to just not back down with these things, but ever think about it and see what you're doing wrong and try and improve yourself. So,
yeah,
but
not
we're
be
all just
stubborn.
we could be selfish, and it's probably never going to change. It's probably part of our evolution. It's in our DNA. So,
We're all
yeah,
different, and, that will help us survive into the future, I'm sure,
as long as we
hopefully with
accept it,
the
acknowledge it, and yeah, just move forward and try and improve on it. Just self awareness, honesty about it too, you know.
Absolutely. So tell us about the project that you're working on. You've made a video on it. You've been working in the background, and for those people that are watching, Brian actually does a lot of work in the background. You may not know it, but he's off making connections with Humanist International, Humanist UK. He's building. He's the one that's finding all the big names to come on the channel and engage with us. He also does a lot of the sort of like the dark arts of sorts, and creates all the videos that are going out in all the ways. I may be the face of him, but he's the magic behind the scenes. So it's his passion in a lot of ways to be creative. But Brian, tell us what this new project is, because it's obviously different to what we've just been doing, and it's a new direction, and it's something innovative in many ways, isn't it?
I think it is quite innovative, but in a way, Christians beat us to it because they've been doing it for a long time. There was a whole Christian rock scene, I'd say probably more so back in the 80s and 90s. A couple of those bands, I think there was a band called Creed that cracked through into the mainstream. So they're able to take...
POD?
Who?
POD?
I'm not familiar, but... yeah, look, there was that whole scene. It was more of a kind of a metal, back in the big hair, metal sort of days. There was a lot of bands like that. Christian rock was a thing. More so now, country music.
I've got a lot of country Christian music coming up on my playlist at the moment. And to be fair, I believe a lot of it's probably AI generated, which I will ask you about that later. But it does hit some bangers, but not that way inclined. But I'm like, I feel the beat. I'm like, a little bit of praying, whatever.
Right. It hits some bangers. It also hits some crappers, to be honest.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But every now and again, I'm just like, hey, that doesn't sound too bad. But I've got like a few out there, like POD, Creed. I do like Creed. They were good back in the day.
Yeah. So bands like that. Anyhow, look, essentially there's a scene there, and not even just in music, but there's animation videos that are, they're just very prolific in putting their stuff out there, they're indoctrinating content. So look, the idea is essentially to kind of be an antidote to that, and to create something similar, create a scene around the humanist movement, which includes, obviously secularism, it includes ethics, it includes rationalism and science. So just to bring all those things in, so that you're creating music that is topically along those lines of humanist related things, humanist themes, lyrically, it covers those kinds of things. So building a scene around that. That's essentially the idea. I'm a writer and a musician myself, and I've written that type of material for quite a while. So, and there are other artists out there, some of who are with the label. And when I say with the label, it's not contracts, it's not signing, it's not anything. It's just me saying, look, what you're doing is great. Do you want to jump on board? I'm just trying to get out there and help the humanist movement, or humanist artists, atheist artists, whatever, to get out there. Do you want to jump on board? And look, there's a handful that are there at the moment, and the idea is to grow that and to get more. I've got a whole approach of how I want to make that work for artists. If you want me just to continue on with what I'm saying, or
I have you got any sort of release dates of when you're going to get some of this music out, and are you going to be the vocals for it? That's probably one of the things I'm curious for.
No, I wouldn't consider myself a singer. I do sing here and there. So no, mate, it's about other artists. There are definitely better singers out there. So it will be about writing and recording. It'll be collaborating with other artists. So I could write something, but I might get someone else to sing on it, So definitely a very community-orientated, artistic community-orientated thing. I will sing occasionally, but I don't see myself as a singer. I'm a musician, so I'm more of a guitar player. Good with
I
harmonies and
could see
all
you
that
doing
sort
like a rusty Australian country song. I think I could see you doing that.
of yeah. I've got all kinds of influences. To be honest, country's not at the top of my list, but there's probably some. There are some decent country artists out there. A lot of it is not exactly up my alley. Probably more of a
Yeah.
rock and roll sort of a guy, a bit of a rock dude. But yeah, I've got
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
lot of different influences. But yeah, look, it's about bringing other artists into it and just collaborating and working together, encouraging them to write. There are artists out there who, well, I know an atheist artist, one who's with us, um, a rap artist from the US. There's another one who's a
Mhm.
humanist artist. She's also from the US. There's an
Yeah.
Australian guy who's up in Brisbane, Conspiracy of One. I
Yeah.
guess it's more pop music, and he's not even really either. He's a science communicator, and he does it through music. Actually, he's helped me with a few things as well. So we kind of collaborate on stuff. I've collaborated with all of these guys actually. Oh, the piece of music that we have is the intro and the outro. So
Yeah.
that is one of the guys, Blatant Blatheist. His name is Jerome. That's his voice
Yeah.
on that. So we've already collaborated. It's from a piece of music that I wrote, but got him to
Yeah.
put the vocal on. So it would be that type of situation where you're bringing people together to collaborate on
Yeah.
each other's projects. That's what I picture.
Yeah. The Brian Cox, who is a humanist, he used to be in a band as well. I think he might still be
Yeah,
in a
he did
band, but
back in the 80s.
yeah. What was the song he played?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of it now.
I have read this and I have heard, I've Googled his band and I did watch it, and it's a band that I'm familiar with. Being
Yeah, it is a banger.
that's my kind of my heyday. The 80s was my era when I
Things
went
can
through.
only get better. Things can only get better.
Was that then? Yeah, right.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Dream or D-Ream, however you want
yeah,
to
right,
pronounce it.
right. Yep. Yeah, I
Yeah,
know that song. Okay, yeah.
yeah.
So yeah,
I think it
yeah,
was the pianist on it in it.
yeah. He
But
was he was yeah the synth player back then. It was all about the
I'll have
synths.
to I'll have to send you through my I played the piano way back when I woke up one morning and I decided, you know what, I'm just going to go buy myself a piano and learn how to play it.
Yeah.
I couldn't read music, but I played a few songs and I created a few songs, which was cool back in the day.
Well,
I'll just
send
send
it
them
over,
through to you.
mate. Get your piano out because I want to include people. I know our CEO, Marianne, does a
Yeah.
bit of choir singing and stuff like that. Honestly,
Yeah,
we
she
could have
is.
fun with that. I know that there's people around who aren't maybe professionals at it, but we could certainly have fun with it. And I've included people from the community before in pieces of music. There's a
Mhm.
song that I did where I had another friend from the US, whisper one word, and the word was whispers, and I got them to record that 3 times, so it was layered, and it had a
Mm,
nice airy, breathy sound. I've used that in a track, so you can include the community in different ways,
absolutely.
and which can include yourself on keyboards, mate, if you think
Oh, I
you're up.
can't play it to save my life these days. It's been 14 years or something like that now. I listen to the songs every now and again, though, and I go, "Yeah, I don't mind that." Who's playing? Oh, it's me. Oh, that's all right.
All right. Do you still have the keyboard, or that's
I still got the keyboard. I've let the kids play with it more so recently, but
okay?
and I can get it out and play like the first opening of some of my songs, but yeah, I want to try and get someone to I got to pay someone to make it up and actually play it properly because I'm not the best at it. I only did it within 1 year and then I
Right.
moved
It
on.
wasn't really for you. Yeah, look,
Yeah.
my boys have a music school, so I'm in partnership with them in a recording studio. There's photos of it on our website. If you go to Humanist Australia's website, you go to the altruistic page. There's a page, and I think it's under get involved. I think that's the tab. If you click on there, at the bottom of that is altruistic. If you go in there, you'll see, and the photo that's in there is, or one of the photos is myself and my two oldest sons. And yeah, so we are altruistic. That's the studio there.
Have your kids taken up the humanist mantle as well?
They're two of the people that I'd say are so very close to being humanists without actually going out and committing and saying they are a humanist. But they're secular like me, so they picked up a lot of my ideas. Not that I ever forced them in any direction, but they always knew I was pretty open about being non-believer and whatever. And so they're very much along those lines. They'd be left-leaning politically, so, and to me, left-leaning is more, humanists will be left-leaning than right-leaning. I think it's a generalization, but I think that's fair enough to say that. So so essentially they are humanists, but they haven't committed to that. But yeah, they have a music school, and yeah, we have young students come in. A lot of them continue on with it. Some of them, like yourself, will take it up and realize it's not for them, and they'll move on and do something else. Although some of those kids come back in later years, and decide, I'll give this a go again, and then stick with it. So,
well, I played the guitar when I was younger, and then I don't know.
Multi-instrumentalist.
Sorry?
A multi-instrumentalist by the
I was actually much better at the piano. I was much better at the piano than I was the guitar. But then again, it was just an ADHD phase. I just that's what I'm going to focus on for this moment. And I just smashed it out. That was what I was.
That was your thing.
Got hooked. That was my thing. And then and then I moved on to puzzles and yada yada yada. Anyway, sorry, what's the name of it again? It's altruistic.
Just altruistic. Yeah, so that is the name of the label.
That's the label. Yep, nice.
Which I think is a very humanist word, because to me that just very much describes humanism, although it doesn't cover the secular side of things, or whatever.
Definitely a part of humanism.
So altruistic.
And are you going to limit it, I guess, in the sense of only humanist or people that define themselves as humanist, or is it open to work with people that, as one of the pieces in the declaration says, that we work with those that are, trying to bring good into the world that align with our values? Is it open to other people that are aligned but may not be calling themselves humanist?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, of course. If they're producing content that's around humanist themes, or things that we could say, that's a very humanist thing that aligns with humanism, then definitely. But look, there are artists out there already that are not calling themselves humanists that, we're creating content that aligns. So it would be about encouraging those type of people to come on board and write and produce songs that are around that theme. But we definitely wouldn't exclude people because they don't call themselves a humanist. But you can't have someone jumping on and writing a song about God and then releasing that through a humanist label. That so a line has to be drawn.
Yes.
As much as I don't want to go around excluding anybody. Clearly, someone that is strongly Christian and wants to put that idea out there is just not aligned at all with humanism. So, there is a line that would be drawn, but I think we'd be very open. I do like the idea of encouraging people to just sort of come out and just say, well, I kind of am a humanist, and to call themselves a humanist artist, But it's not imperative. They don't have to do that,
that's cool. And what's the end goal? We're going to have a rock star, Brian.
I should be a rock star. Like I'll be turning 60 this year, so So never too late. There's always time to get out there and be a bit of a rock star.
60's the new 40s, isn't it?
Yeah, so they say, mate. Look, I definitely don't feel old, and as I think I've made it pretty clear, I'm a very progressive person. So I feel as though I'm kind of young at heart, I guess. But look, I love music. I'll write and produce and put stuff out there. I'll probably do some videos with myself in it and whatever. But that's purely for the passion and the enjoyment of it.
Yeah.
I clearly have no expectations of doing anything that's going to turn me into some kind of rock star, right? It's not going to happen. It's silly to consider. But we're not ageist, are we? Like, we don't judge people. If you have a passion for something, you just go out and do it. So yes, I will be involved in some of that, but most definitely there'll be other younger people
I think
out
rock
there.
at the moment is like the least ageist thing going around, and when you see characters like
True,
Iron Maiden and Slash and
but
all the
they
rest of those
have
old brand
artists
names.
with guys like that. They have already made. They're already of kind of legendary status. Okay, they've established themselves as rock legends, so they're already accepted. If Mick Jagger from the Rolling Stones wants to run around there and do a song in his 80s, people are accepting of it. But if you're a new artist, you're out there trying to sell yourself, and you're in your 60s or whatever, no one's interested. No one cares. But that doesn't stop you from doing it.
Yeah, I care, Brian. I'll listen to your stuff.
Well, at least I've got one fan, so I'm with that. The end goal is for the humanist movement, to be honest, and just create music and add color and creativity to the whole humanist movement, have that be part of the overall fabric of what's happening with the humanist movement, and kind of add that to it as something else that can help us get the messages across that we want to, as humanists, because it transcends barriers, it connects on a level that other things can't. So music's always been known for that. It crosses borders, and people from all walks of life you can have someone from the far left and the far right loving a piece of music, and in that music you can have a message, and it can be something else there that happens just through the fact that you enjoy that piece of music. And then you might explore the message that's in that music, and it can maybe connect with someone that you might not have been able to sort of get to in any other sort of a way. Music and art definitely have the potential to do that. So that's what I want to bring to the humanist movement. So really, that's the end goal. And the potential is there for if you're doing that, and if your product is good enough, you're creating great quality music, well recorded, produced, and great videos, music videos. You do a really good job of those. They have the potential to cross into the mainstream, and with them, they could be carrying that humanist message. So it's got the potential to spread it a lot further. I just see great potential in it, and I want to.
And I think it's such an easy sort of like thing to overlook. And there's plenty of songs like you listen to some of the Beatles stuff. I was listening to one of it just recently. What's his name? Yes, the song's not coming to me anymore. And the Beatles not coming to me anymore either. A World Without Imagine, I'm pretty sure. Imagine by who is it again? John Lennon, yes. I was listening to that. That's a very humanistic inspired song, and my partner Steph she was just playing it in bed the other night, and I'm listening to the words. I'm like, oh, that sounds like word without religion, this and that, and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I looked it up, and I don't think he called himself a humanist specifically, but he was very, very aligned with a lot of the humanistic values. Maybe just didn't come across the word, for a lot of us. It takes some time to come across that word. Hopefully it is expanding, very much so, particularly this year, I believe, more than before. But that next level, getting those words out there, having those clear statements of this is a humanist, such and such, I think will be really resonate with a lot of people, because that
Yeah,
song Imagine very much so did itself.
absolutely, mate. That's right, and that's why we can have artists in there. If someone comes up with a song like that, and they're not necessarily calling themselves a humanist, that piece of music still very much aligns with what
Mm,
we are and what we represent. So yeah, it's more than welcome. But I feel as though there is a humanist wave kind of happening. There are
mm,
initiatives out there. We can be a part of that with initiatives like this, with the label, a
yeah.
humanist label. But people like the American Humanist Association with their initiative to support content creators as well is just great. So they're offering financial support and that type of thing, because content creators are out there. They struggle. They don't have money
Mm,
to back them up to put this content out there. So
yep.
yeah, I think that's great, and I feel as though the movement is taking some kind of a hold. And I will also say, I think the world needs it right now. I really, really do. When I look around the
Mm,
globe and I see things that are happening around the world, and I look at the way the things, I keep kind of focusing on America, but just with what's happening over there, and just that growing trend towards like being a fascist country
yeah.
is we need humanism. We're so uncaring and just kind of ruthless. We need to find that humanness again. That compassion has just kind of been lost in many ways.
Yes.
The American Humanists Association put it very well: killing empathy. So that they've got an initiative, or Fish Stark put out a video or something recently, or was it just one of his messages to do with that? How what's happening in the US is killing humanism. Empathy,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they want to revitalize it. We need to find that empathy and that compassion again. So I
Mm,
think the world needs humanism, and I think it is on the rise. And when things happen like what's happening in US at the moment, and in Palestine and places like that, I think I think most people are good in their heart. I think, and I think when people see that, and then they realize there is something like humanism that they can connect with, they're going to
mm.
sort of go in that direction and maybe explore it a bit more. I think the world's ready for it, and I think we're ready to start sort of pushing it. So that's what
I
I
agree.
wanted to do with the label. Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, while we've got a bit of time, um, I wanted to dive into your thoughts around where music's going. You obviously been a musician for a long, long time. And there's a new rise on the scene, a new player of sorts,
Mm,
being AI.
yeah.
um, how do you visualize AI? Is it more of an instrument, or is it more of a creator, or is it something else?
Um, I do get the idea of it as an instrument. I think it's got positives and negatives. I think AI can be used artistically. I don't love the idea of AI as being the creator. I think, look, it's exciting. Explore it. But if you don't have the human in there, there's an emptiness to it. I can already detect it with a lot of film that comes out and music. A lot of advertising uses AI at the moment, and to me,
Mm,
it's that term AI slop. It's just
mm,
starting to get to the point where it's just like it's soulless. So in many ways, it can be just a soulless, unfeeling thing. So I don't love that. I don't love the fact that it takes it could potentially take away jobs, or I mean, it's already doing that in other areas. There's no reason why it can't do the same with musicians. So I don't love that with AI, but the technology is definitely very exciting.
mm.
I don't like the idea of it replacing artists. I don't think it will, unless you can make a robot be a human. essentially become a human. I don't know that can never happen, you know. But if you have a good artist that uses AI, I think that can be done. Actually, I've used it myself. I said before, I'm not a singer. I don't see myself as a vocalist. Okay, but on a couple of occasions, I've got an app on my computer that you can record your vocal. You can put it through AI, just that one track, a vocal track, and it can send it back to you as a female vocalist or any type of singer, a rock singer or a crooner or whatever. You still need to be able to put the right vocal in there to get the idea across. But I think if you've got the skills and the musical understanding and you use it in that way artistically, it can be good. You know, I can use it to be a female vocalist in a song that I want to have a female vocal, but I'm not a female vocalist. You know, so. Although then that's taken a job away from the female vocalist because I could just hire the vocalist to come in and do it, you know?
Yeah, like this sort of like comes down to that sort of question, like, you know, and we've seen a lot of, you know, great musicians, where they might not be writing the music, but they can do one part of the music. Maybe they play maybe they do the vocals, but they don't make the words. Maybe they play the, you know, the drums, but they don't actually make the whole song, or they're the bass guitarist. Like, you know, at what point does it become like, obviously each part, if you have a collective of people together, then they can each add their own expertise. But does that limit the ability for someone that has the ideas but not the skill? And is this idea valuable in itself, or is that is it only valuable if they have the skill to back it up? Like, at what point do we say the idea is the important part, or the skill is the important part? Does that make sense?
Yeah, look, I think the skill and the talent needs to be there to make AI sound good. I still think that's the case. I know you can just put prompts in there or whatever and get it to do certain things, but I still think you need to put the right prompts in there. I've heard
And that's the thing, isn't it? Like, knowing or is that a skill in itself, putting the right prompts in? Like, you know, I know
it would be
for a lot
having
of
an understanding of music to some extent. You know, look, technology is making it easier and easier for people who are non-musicians to go out there and create music. You know, but you can tell the difference. To me, you can tell the difference between something that's come from a human artist to something that's been created by AI. You know. Maybe it'll get beyond that point where you can't tell the difference, but at this stage you can. And I can hear if someone who's not an artist, especially with a lot of the ads that are coming out, some of the lyrics on that are just woeful. Like it's like embarrassingly bad. But AI will make it sound well produced and put together. But it's AI slop. I'm sorry. But I think if someone is a talented artist and they want to use AI creatively, they can make it, you know, do some special and interesting things. It's definitely a new direction that we're going. And mate, look, as I say, I'm progressive in that way. Like, explore these things. It's really exciting and interesting. By the same token, don't steal everybody's jobs as an artist. But I think that the humanist needs to be there. I don't know that AI can completely replace people. I know it can replace people with everyday jobs, which is more of a frightening thing. You know, forget about the art for a minute and concern yourself about AI taking people's jobs. What are people in the everyday life going to do? You know, So
hopefully we can do more of what we love.
that's right.
I am
It's going to pay you
probably
to
not.
do it.
Yeah, I'm probably not so opposed. Like, I don't know how we're going to deal with it ultimately, but I believe that, you know, we as humans are smart enough to eventually figure out how to handle or how to bring it upon us. I'm obviously, you know, aware of the concerns, and I'm not trying to downplay them at all. But I would much rather, like, we've had stages where we've gone from, you know, manual labor to automated labor, and reduced the jobs, and those people have gone off into new industries. Those industries are more aligned with what they wanted to do anyway. Like, we saw it not too long ago where we saw a lot of jobs move into, like, boot camps. We've got cooking classes now. We've got dancing classes. We've got a lot more community driven, components. You're a music teacher in a lot of ways as well. And your kids are, teaching as well in that sense. Those weren't really jobs for the masses back in, the heyday. Not even that long ago, really. Like, you wouldn't see too many music teachers running around, not to the extent that we have right now. Like, I've got about several in my area.
Yeah.
And so, but I feel like there's a lot more community-based positions like that.
Well, maybe that's
And
the
those
case.
sort of paper pushers.
Some of those things that people love doing are not paying any money. So the passion's there to do the things, but they're not necessarily getting paid for that job. And aside from that, the masses who aren't music teachers or don't have something like that, the everyday people that just need some kind of a job to support their families and to live, they're the kind of jobs that are getting taken at a horrific rate, I think. And that is a problem. And the scary thing is that we were talking about capitalism before. In a capitalist world, there is a ruthless approach where capitalism is about making the most profit and spending the least expenses to make that profit. And they will be ruthless and callous and uncaring about it. We know that that is the case. And it's already happening where those everyday jobs that aren't a music teacher, you definitely still need humans to be music teachers. There's no question about that. But there is a bunch of jobs out there that you don't need humans. And they're the ones that you've got to concern yourself about. What are those millions and millions of people going to do when their job gets taken away? They're not going to go and be a music teacher. I know that much. It's going to squash into the point where the available jobs that are there are just getting less and less. And it's going to keep going in that direction. And one day they may have a music teacher that does that whole thing, and you don't need the human to do it anymore,
I think it'll be interesting. I think that at some point, I wouldn't put it past AI being able to teach you music and maybe teach you music better than, some humans. I do believe that human on human connection is something that we'll end up striving for and we'll pay good money for.
Yeah, true.
In a lot of ways, we're touching upon, universal basic income, which I do believe will eventually become a thing. What does that look like?
Are looked after. If they are looked after, I know that that's not what's happening in the US at the moment. If AI did everything, but someone had the suggestion of an idea where everybody gets an AI machine. AI does everything, but each person gets their AI machine, which does a certain bunch of tasks or whatever, and then they get paid for their AI machine to do it. So they've got some income. The frightening thing is that people aren't going to have income if AI keeps taking everything. There's no income. So there needs to be some kind of universal basic wage or something. You can't just leave people in a heap without any way of earning money. It's
kind of the catch-22 though, isn't it? Because if you have no people working to pay for things, they can't pay for the AI to do the things that they need to do. But then the AI can only exist if you have the people that can pay for the AI.
Of course. Yeah, mate. Look, absolutely. But look, it's all new to us, isn't it? So obviously a lot of things need to be explored and worked out with that. I don't know how you deal with it. I feel as though the government's got to step in. I really, really do, and just slow it down until we figure things out. Like they're already talking about AI doing surgery and all of these sorts of things. Like there's just a bunch of stuff going on. It's all very exciting and it should be explored, but don't let it get carried away. Capitalists will want to push this kind of technology to the limit and get it out too early before it's even ready to be used properly or being explored properly, because they want to make the profit out of it. And unfortunately, that initiative is always there. That greed and that selfishness, that comes with capitalism is going to be there. So that essentially, I come back to capitalism. That's the problem. It's not AI itself. It's the people out there that, want to use it kind of destructively, really,
Yeah, absolutely.
Blind eye. You don't want that.
Let's bring it back. Communities. You're a big driver of communities at the moment. In the Humanist Australia movement, you're working with me, obviously, with the social media content and all that likes.
Yeah.
How do you think the communities are going to grow the greatest? And do you think that your initiative is going to help grow out the communities in any particular way?
That's definitely the way that I see it. The good thing about Humanists Australia, and we've spoken about Marianne, our wonderful CEO, who's the captain of the
Yes,
ship. She's let
absolutely.
you and I, as you know, left it open for us to explore and do things in the way that we want to do and that we feel passionate about and that we feel we can offer. So with that in mind, yeah, most definitely, what I'm doing with content creation and bringing in the music and that creative, colourful side of it into what we're all trying to do, I think that will come down and back into communities. So I want to include the communities in the types of things that are getting created, the content creation, so that they're getting advertised, they're getting promoted. People are getting to see what these communities are about and the good stuff that they do. So yeah, I think it will come back to the communities and help them ultimately.
Hmm.
Humanism is, for want of a better word, it's already a fantastic brand. It's got so
Mm,
much to offer, and
yep,
that includes the communities. We just need to get it out there. If we got a way to get it out there, it's going to come back and help humanism as a whole and the communities within humanism. So, yeah, that's my way of doing it. I think it will. I hope it will, and I feel confident that it will help, uh, maybe indirectly to build those communities because people will see it and become interested and maybe find out a bit more about it because of that, and then want to become a part of those communities.
yeah,
But
absolutely.
clearly, the
And
the
for those,
communities still have to have the initiative to go out and do stuff and to make people want. Once they get in there with that community, there's things going on that they want to be a part of and enjoy being a part of. So it's up to obviously
absolutely,
community leaders and that to kind of look after that side of it. But yeah, let's work together and grow those things because they're doing great things. And they've got a lot of the community leaders have got great ideas, and
absolutely.
they just need to be promoted and put out there to the public.
For those of you that have made it this far, by the way, I should have mentioned this earlier, but we are growing the communities in Australia. Uh, Join us on Facebook. The links or the tabs will be on our YouTube page. I believe that we've got them on now, and we'll also we're growing the the YouTube pages, and we've got a Facebook group as well. So, or even on Meetup for the time being. So, other than that, Brian, is there any sort of last words, or is there or any sort of famous quotes or famous humanists that you want to quote before we do the final remarks?
That's kind of put me on the spot, isn't it, really? I know. I
You
know
got 2
this.
minutes. You got 2 minutes
Yeah,
to think.
okay. Let me go away and get Google on or, something and see if I can find no, not off the top of my head, I don't really. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, look, more than anything, I just wanna say for anyone that is kind of creative and sort of wants to jump on board and help out, because this is a community as well. We spoke about communities. What's happening with altruistic is also a community. It needs people on board to sort of help with that initiative. So if anyone's interested, you can approach me. You can get a hold of me through Humanist Australia, through my couple of emails. I've got an altruistic at Humanist Australia email and my own Brian at Humanist Australia, and just get in contact and you can be involved in what's happening. I think it's exciting and interesting and has great potential for the future.
Absolutely. I'm excited. It's going to be a big year this year, Brian. I can feel it.
I'm feeling good, and you're doing great stuff over there yourself, mate, with social media and everything. Um, look, if we have that motivation and we're putting all our heads together, it can only go in one direction.
Mm,
And I feel as though there is great potential. There's going to be a lot of exciting things happening. We've spoken about high-profile people on the live streams, which is something else we haven't spoken about. Not saying any names just yet, because they've got to be locked in. But we're talking to people. We're connecting with other organisations around the world to organise initiatives and to collaborate on things. So I feel as though it's going to be a very good year. And as we've seen, our YouTube channel's growing almost at 300, which I know seems tiny in the big scheme of things. But it's a big jump from what it was even just a year ago. And these things.
It was 200 in August. So.
Yeah, well, that's it. Look, as we were saying before, it took about a year to get from, I think, 116 at the beginning of last year to 200 by the end of the year. And now we're just in the middle of February, and it's jumped up almost to another 100 just in that time. So it's an exponential thing. You just got to keep it exciting and interesting and doing good things out there. And that'll grow. It's happening with Facebook as well, which you've been sort of steering of late. It's growing rapidly. So, yeah, I think there really is exciting things on the horizon. So, yeah, just get on board, I think, with Humanists Australia, where it's at.
That's it. All right. Thanks, everyone. That's the hour mark. We will catch you on the next live stream.
Thanks, guys.
Clear your head, use your eyes, know yourself, realize, understand and empathize. We could learn to feel the world with love.